One of the fundamental questions that arises in psychology is why do we do what we do? To answer this, we must understand which factors impact motivation, one of which is subliminal priming. Subliminal priming occurs when exposure to a stimulus below the threshold of consciousness influences an individual's response to a subsequent stimulus. It influences motivation by affecting the three main sources of motivation: needs, cognitions, and emotions. Each of these sources impact directly on an individual's motivational state, and therefore, by causing changes in any of these, effects on motivation become apparent. Initial studies on subliminal priming focused on marketing and consumption. For example, a study by Karamans and colleagues highlighted that subliminal priming increased motivation and intention to choose the primed brand. This finding was supported by another study in which both thirst and sadness were primed, leading to similar changes in motivation. Following these results, studies were conducted in other areas to see if subliminal priming was effective across contexts. Findings illustrated this was the case, with changes in motivation apparent in virtual learning, sport, and social settings. Participants showed heightened learning, stronger force exertion, more hostile reactions, and increased jealousy across these studies, demonstrating the impacts on motivation. This raises the question of how priming works. The mere exposure effect suggests priming increases an individual's exposure to the stimulus, which makes them like it more and thus influences motivation. An alternative theory is the spreading activation theory, which suggests our brains organise information into networks and creates links between associated information. Subliminal exposure to a stimulus activates its concepts, and this activation spreads to related concepts, making them temporarily more available and so more likely to affect motivation. Finally, Hull's drive theory and the evolutionary theory both centre around the idea that we automatically act in ways that are beneficial to us, even if we are not consciously aware of the stimuli prompting a response. Despite support for the effects of subliminal priming, not all studies have found significant results. As such, it is important to consider potential moderating factors, including environmental incentives, physiological need, personality, current goals, and characteristics of the prime itself. The effect of subliminal priming on motivation is an increase in motivation, as evidenced by subsequent energy, persistence, and direction of behaviour. It does appear to be effective in a number of situations, however, it is critical to consider factors that come into play. This has important implications for nudge theory, which aims to use environmental cues to optimise decision-making and behaviour. To learn more about the effect of subliminal priming on motivation and potential applications, please click on the link below to view the Wikidversity page, Subliminal Priming and Motivation.